Hey Oz,
Hey, Curtis.
what movie we watching this week?
Oh, this week I got a trio of Wes Craven's New Nightmare,
Okay,
Inception,
that makes sense.
and a Foley artist portfolio. This week we are watching Return to Horror High. Yeah, after Wes Craven's New Nightmare,
Yeah, that fits.
they're making
That
a
fits
movie and
perfect. Yeah.
people are getting killed on the set of the movie,
Hmm.
etc. Of course, Inception, because there are just way too many layers to this movie.
Yeah.
Like so many. You don't know if
No.
what you're watching is current or the past or even more past. Or
Yeah, I mean, oh God, I'm sure we'll get into this as we go. This
oh
movie
yeah,
tries so hard.
hmm
It
yeah.
gives it the old college try and then some, and it just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. It's a very admirable attempt, and
Yes.
it's not that it has any popularity today, but if it did have any popularity at all, if they were going to try to market this today, almost like it's been on the shelf for 20 years, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Actually, been closer to 40 years. It's been on the shelf.
Hmm.
You'd really play up the fact that George Clooney is in this movie,
Yes.
or the guy from The Godfather is in this movie, Alex
Hmm.
Rocco,
Yep.
or you've got Marie McCormick, or it's like,
Yeah.
but nope,
Marsha
you really
Brady.
can't.
Uh huh.
You can't go on any of that.
Nope.
Back
None of
in
that works.
'87 when this movie came out. This movie, man, this is going to be a fun episode because
It is, yeah.
uh,
It's just, yeah. We were joking beforehand. Like this movie's like a Jackson Pollock, only it's not good.
yeah, this movie, like I get the sense this movie happened. That scene in Big where Tom Hanks like just started as like the mail guy,
Hmm.
and he's like running mail around and he runs into a guy and like all the papers and stuff go up in the air and then he helps gather them all up as he's looking at like Elizabeth Perkins like slip.
Yeah.
No, um, I feel like that what got tossed up in the air was the script to this movie.
Yeah.
they
And they didn't bother
didn't
putting
have
them back in order.
papers. No, they
Yeah.
just film it. Just go.
Well, that's
Uh,
assuming there was a script.
that's true. That's true.
I
Uh,
see a bunch of like 80s just like 80s self-professed like movie buffs like doing a line of coke and then be like, oh, and then what
yeah,
if we have the, it's a movie and a movie and a movie and
yeah, yeah. It's deep. It's deep. Maybe you and I just aren't intelligent enough to
that's
grasp
probably it. We just don't get it.
between our combined what like 5 college degrees, 6 college degrees, or whatever. We don't have it.
We
Uh,
don't get it. We don't understand movies, Oz.
we're shooting high here. So,
Hmm.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme. This month being return movies, as we're both returning back to school,
Hmm.
um, and we are here to talk about Return to Horror High. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I'll be the other host, Curtis.
Before we get into this barrel of dead monkeys, let's give a shout out to Patreon subscribers Don S, Aaron A, and Mandy K. Thank you again for your
Hey.
patience, especially if you decide to sit through this episode. We are going to attempt to make it more enjoyable than actually watching. I, I've seen worse.
Yes, there are worse movies out there.
Yes.
There are, as we will get to in our signature segments
Yeah.
later on. There are some goods.
They,
There's some silver linings you can take away
yeah.
from this.
There are definite moments in this
Yes.
movie, but I don't know if those moments were intentional or if like the editor decided le- like I'm just going to throw this in and see what
Yeah.
happens. I'm like I'm just not convinced that Bill Froelich was who wrote and directed this movie was like this is it. This
What
is
a
my
what a vision he had,
yeah.
along with a
So,
lot of cocaine.
well, who's in this movie?
Well, our cast of characters. I'm not going to run through everybody, guys, just
That's
because
good. It doesn't matter.
There were so many that were just, yeah, whatever. So I'm going to try to hit the characters that did have some point, as well as just a couple of fun ones as well here.
Right? Yeah.
So we have the three-headed character of Callie, Sarah, and Susan,
Yeah.
played by Lori Leffin.
Yeah.
So Callie is the actress, and then Sarah and Susan are both characters in the movie that they're making. If you follow,
and they just put a different wig on her. Like that's it.
Well, they even say at some point, "Well, yeah, I'll just save money. I'll just slap a different wig on her. Nobody will know the difference."
Right. Yeah,
because that's how Hollywood works, folks, and that's what this movie was getting at. Sticking it to Hollywood.
You know, it just dawned on me. I think I have a theory. I'm going to test this on you right now before we get to the plot. Do you think that they made the movie within the movie? Like, that's the movie they made.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realized, after that was shot, that they had a lot of budget left over, and they still needed to fill about 45 minutes of screen time. And so, therefore, they shot the wraparound making of the movie. Kind of as an inside joke of what making the movie within the movie was really like, because
I suppose it could have happened.
Really, at times it was kind of hard to critique what they were doing on screen because they were critiquing themselves on screen.
Yeah. So
it's like, oh, he beat me to the punch.
Maybe the behind the scenes stuff was like the documentary making of.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like they decided, let's, we got a lot of film and a lot of money left. Let's go ahead and let's put the making of as part of the main feature.
And then Chief Daner and Officer Tyler, that was actual just leftover footage from Cops that they spliced in.
Yeah, that's all that was.
Yeah.
with special guest Maureen McCormick.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of those two, I may as well get them out of the way. Chief Daner, played by Pepper Martin. It's a great football name. I'm pretty sure he was the linebackers coach for the Giants in the late 80s.
Yeah, his real name's Gerald or something, but they just went by Pepper.
Pepper. And then we have Officer Tyler, played by Marcia Brady herself, Maureen McCormick, in the wackiest and in all the best and worst way performances.
She had a lot of fun making this.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
She was given a lot of leeway.
If she didn't have a lot of fun, then she's a great actress because she appeared to be enjoying herself.
Yes, yeah, in more ways than one. We have Officer Stephen Blake, played by Brendan Hughes. Stephen Blake is the cop who was initially investigated the murders, and then they hired him to play himself in the movie.
He's the Inception. Yeah, he's basically the Inception breaker.
Yeah.
It's he gets to funnel through all of the dreams.
Yes, he's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
So many similarities.
Way ahead of its time.
Yeah. We have producer Harry Slierek, played by the aforementioned Alex Rocco, Mo Green from The Godfather.
Exactly.
And a very fun performance.
Mo Green as The Godfather.
Yeah. Just a slightly sleazier version.
Yeah.
We have director Josh Forbes, played by Scott Jacoby. We have Arthur Lyman Castleman. He's the writer. The character is the writer. Played by Richard Brestoff.
Right.
He's also the sole survivor, wink wink,
of
the massacre on the set.
Yes. It's like, this movie.
And then we have Principal Castleman. Again, kind of similar to the Stephen Blake character. He was principal at the school at the time of the murders. And they brought him back to be a consultant, played by Andy Romano. I'm pretty sure that's Ray's cousin, by the way.
Yeah, it's got to be Ray's cousin.
Yeah,
it cracks me up that these are there were grisly murders at this school, and let's bring back the survivors from the grisly murders.
Yes. No trauma.
No. We got to roll for you.
Boy, howdy.
Oh, man.
We have Amos, quote unquote, the custodian.
Yeah.
Who was also the custodian there during the murders, played by Al Fan.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have the character of Oliver, played by the one and only George Clooney.
Yeah. His big screen debut, George Clooney.
Was it Bosom Buddies? Was that the what he was on something, and or was that Tom Hanks was in
That was
Bosom
Tom
Buddies?
Hanks. Tom Hanks
Okay.
was in Bosom Buddies.
Yeah, Clooney was kind of, he popped up here and there, and like
Yeah, I know he's in some Facts of Life stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
he's just kind of one of those like shows up and is in the background kind of guy.
Yeah, a couple years later, he was in several episodes of Roseanne. I think the first
Yeah.
season of Roseanne.
Yeah, and then now he's George Clooney. So
then he became Batman, which was the peak of his
like
Hollywood
if
career.
he were ever at a convention, this would be a great movie to take to him to sign. Like
Yeah.
because the vibe that I get from Clooney is kind of a prankster and doesn't take himself too seriously. I could see him almost finding the humor and having this movie of all of his filmography. Like
If he even remembers that he did this.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think he would probably get a kick out of it. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
All right. Well, Oz, those are the only characters I'm going to mention. There's others, but who cares?
Right. Who cares?
Yeah. So let's get to the quote unquote plot.
Okay.
Of Return to Horror High.
I'm going to do this in two pieces.
Okay.
I'm going to give this as first kind of your like synopsis overview because the plot details are very difficult to follow. Like,
yes.
I'm even sitting here feeling like, am I up to this challenge? So really
drink some Gatorade, make sure you're hydrated, get those electrolytes up. Yeah.
So the basis of the movie is there was a series of murders at a high school in the early 80s.
Crippen High School.
Crippen High School. And the killer is still on the loose, never been caught. And so several years later, producer Harry Slierek and his picture company, Cosmic Pictures, they decide they're going to basically make a movie about the killings from a few years ago. And to maximize their budget, they're staying at
Yes.
school.
Yeah, there's plenty of rooms you could sleep in.
Right. So that's they're going to stay at the high school. There is a lot of back and forth. Harry Slierek is very much I want blood. He's your Joe Bob Briggs. He's making movies to make Joe Bob Briggs happy.
Joe Bob Briggs.
Where Joe Bob Briggs in his drive-in theater used to do like blood, like death count, breast count, like that's basically the movies Harry Slierek is making here.
Yeah.
Whereas the director, Josh Forbes, is more of an auteur, like
the artiste.
Yeah. It's he's more of your Bergman type. That it's trying to make art. He's not trying to make money. And so
Wes Anderson over here.
Exactly. But Slierek's wanting more Paul Thomas.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm still kind of in the synopsis. So everybody decides to stay on set. Again, that murder is on the loose. So surprise, the cast and crew of the movie that they're making end up getting killed while they're filming at the school. Like
you don't say.
Yeah. So that's really what's happening. That's your through line. Is a crew is coming to this high school where murders have happened to make a movie about the murders, and then they all get murdered.
And then murders happen.
Yeah, murders happen. So our movie really picks up with the end.
Yep. Because that's the best place. This is Memento was another one you could have thrown in your
easily.
Movie marriage.
Yes,
easily. Another Chris Nolan movie. Real mind bender here.
I come back to Chris Nolan later on. Our movie starts with Chief Dana and Officer Tyler showing up at the crime scene, and they're showing up at the crime scene despite the fact that all the bodies have been moved out of the school. They're late.
Yeah,
they're just late. So they show up and there's body. There's I won't call them body bags. They're just bodies laying in the lawn.
Yeah, just with a thin white sheet covering them.
Sheet and so much blood.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't see anything graphic. It's just bloody sheets, and
We occasionally see like rubber arms get
yeah,
pulled
yeah,
up.
you
Like this
see a lot,
arm doesn't go in this body.
right. You know, you do see a lot of that. This movie probably held up a little better on VHS. You know, the lower definition
Yeah, I
quality.
see. You couldn't see that. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of fake prosthetic stuff, and they're basically like, "Oh my God, you know what has happened here?" And there's one survivor, the screenwriter Arthur, who we don't know his last name yet. He's just Arthur Lyman.
Just Arthur.
And so the police are talking to him. And then he starts to go and tell the story of what had all happened. Basically. So yeah, we start at the end and we work into the movie with a flashback, which is the most straightforward way to tell a story.
Yeah.
Is let's start at the end to go to the beginning. I almost feel like Josh Forbes directed this movie here. Like this is the art he was attempting to make. So we find out we're on the set. Clearly, we're in a school. They're staging and setting and whatever. Oliver gets a call. This is George Clooney's character, who's, by the way, he's the number 2 name in the credits. I was paying attention to this when it started. I couldn't remember how long he was in the movie, but I knew he's the biggest name today that was in this movie.
Yes.
And he was credited number 2 in this movie, and is out of the picture within 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. He's gone pretty quick.
He
Was
gets
this
a phone call that he gets the lead in a series, which was kind of fun. There was a George Clooney TV series that came out shortly after this movie, that he was the co-lead in. I almost added that to my movie marriage, but I've never heard of the show, and neither had you. But it just felt like, man, that was really on the nose. Like, because Clooney did leave this movie to go be the lead in a TV series. It's like, it was way ahead of its time. Like, almost
even predicting real life actor career arcs.
almost put Back to the Future in my movie marriage just because of the knowledge of what's going to be coming up.
Yeah. There was also a sports almanac with scores from the year 2000.
Yeah, in a giant tower. The Cubs won the World Series for some reason. So Oliver, he quits, he leaves the set, and immediately gets murdered in an empty wing of the school. Do we see a murder? No.
There's a lot of fog in that hallway, too.
Yeah. Like, that set was ready. It was a hot set.
Might want to have that HVAC system looked at.
It's whoever, your best boys in key grips got that hallway ready a little too early. So, we see Oliver go into a room, and then he gets thrust up against a window, and we just see more blood, like blood and grunting. We don't really see any violence at all. So Oliver's gone. But luckily, who shows up on set is Officer Stephen Blake, who is a real-life police officer and survived the murders of the Crippen High School several years before. He's on
was also a student at Crippen High School.
He was
prior
a student
to that.
at Crippen High School, and like you mentioned, the principal is the real principal from back then. He's there. The janitor's the same. Like, whatever. So luckily, we have a real police officer to fill in for Oliver.
Yes, who was playing the real police officer.
Things get real tense on set because Josh is trying to make a real movie, and it was kind of a fun little scene. There's a little bit of topless nudity in this movie. It is an 80s horror movie, so
it's supposedly like gratuitous on purpose because, again, the whole like send up of the horror genre, send up of Hollywood.
Exactly. So this little bit here was kind of fun as Harry's on set and he's trying to get everybody motivated to make a movie, but he wants more boobs. And we bring like the special effects guy out, and he's with a woman who's topless, and
because it's an 80s horror movie.
Because it's an 80s horror movie, and Harry's commenting on her being topless, but the gag is that she clearly is all natural.
Yes.
But the gag is that those are explosive prosthetics. To which they do this fun little like cut away and come back, and now she's got a towel on, and effects guy is like torn one off.
Yeah, and he like throws it over his shoulder.
We get an explosion offset. Like it's just it's goofy, and it's dumb, but it's still like
Yeah, I think that was the highlight of the movie right there.
yeah,
The exploding boob on
yeah,
set.
and it's just like the special effects guy is by far like he's the Greg Nicotero of this set.
Yes, yes.
Like he is living his life, making
Yeah, he is
making everything happen. So there's a lot of tension between Slerick and the director because he wants to make an art kind of film and he wants to pay tribute, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Slerick's just like, no, we need more blood, we need more boobs, we need more gore. Followed by, like, the next day, another, like, an extra is murdered.
Yeah.
We don't see it. I mean, whatever. Special effects assistants also murdered. Another cast member gets murdered.
All these inconsequential people.
Yeah, it's like you've got all these people that are just there, and you would almost say they're there to pad the body count. But this is not a Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street movie where you get somewhat creative, inventive kills. This is just a bunch of cutaways to somebody going into a dark room and then dying. Like
like a yellow rubber glove hand just makes somebody into a room.
Yeah, that's really I mean, with the exception of some of the language and some of the like sexual nature stuff, like this is very tame. Like it easily could have been like a made for TV, just romp fest kind of, and probably would have been more successful, honestly. You know, because like younger kids would have been able to see it. But let's not kid ourselves. In the 80s, kids were watching whatever they wanted anyway. We get a guy dragged into a like industrial fan, but whatever. Like it doesn't matter. Like that person didn't matter. Like
no one matters.
Like the gore didn't. Like it wasn't even like whoa, that was impressive. It just okay, moving on.
Yeah,
but
all right. Industrial fan.
The movie gets really, really bizarre though. Is we've established at the beginning of the movie, we'll say we're in like current day.
Sure.
And then Arthur starts telling the events of what's happened with basically the second round of all the murders. Because again, the film crew is being murdered, making a movie about the school murders. And so he's trying to recollect, oh, it's just been bloodshed everywhere, etc. So the movie is constantly back and forth between what we are seeing based on what Arthur's telling them, and then Arthur telling them. And then the movie starts throwing in scenes from the movie within a movie.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really, really tough to follow.
Yeah.
Because again, we've established that Blake was there on both levels. He was at the school during the murders, and then he was on set during these murders, as was the janitor, as was the principal.
As well as acting in the movie.
So we're seeing all of these people, like Blake especially, whenever we see him on screen, we don't know if this is footage from the movie, if this is him behind the scenes of the movie, or if this is footage from what the first round of murders happened. Like,
you don't get it, Oz. This is art.
Right. This movie at times is like a very, very good street level shell game performer. Like you don't know which shell to look under. So Steve and Callie get close because Steve's girlfriend in the original murders.
Yes, if you could follow here, folks.
Yeah. Real life Steve's high school girlfriend was killed, and her dad was the principal. The same dad who is playing the principal in this remake. Whatever. Yes. He's on as the technical advisor. But Steve, well, no, I guess no. She wasn't killed. He hadn't seen her for years.
Yeah, supposedly she's at grad school.
Right. She's at grad school, and Steve has not seen her for years. So Callie starts noticing that some of the cast and crew are disappearing, which we know that because we've seen them being killed. Well, we've seen them pulled off screen to be killed. Like,
Yeah.
nothing happens in front of us.
Yanked into doorways or falling through an odd sand pit
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
middle
yeah.
of the room.
Let's not forget the like. Oh, it's just so weird. And again, because Callie, the actress playing Callie in the movie, because she's got 3 roles. Like, we see her face everywhere.
Yeah.
But again, confusing us as to what actual
which of the 3 characters is she at any given time?
Yeah, we don't know which version. Like, we don't know what layer we're actually watching at any given time.
Yeah.
And they only like, and they purposely do that. I mean, there's one scene where you've got this jock. He's the high school quarterback, and one of Callie's characters is the new girl at school. But it's kind of a throwback. Well, of course, the movie they're making is a throwback. So everything feels like this was probably the original Crippen murders.
Yeah.
And they're filming it, and it's like, it's very long, and it's a very elaborate scene. You know, his friends are putting him up to it. Oh, she's the new girl. You're never going to get in those pants.
Yeah.
And so he pulls the whole, I'm the high school quarterback, and here's a ticket to the game, and follows her, like he follows her into like the locker room, which of course is full of, it's full of like
topless girls. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what 80s high school locker rooms were like.
Yeah.
That's according to my research, and all females that went to high school through the 80s can attest. Oh yeah, like our shirts weren't even allowed in the locker rooms.
No, you dropped them at the door, picked them up on your way out.
I'm just glad that the expose that was 80s horror films brought that to light. So now girls today are encouraged to not go topless in the locker rooms.
This movie was the precursor for that, like the 90s like hard copy.
Yeah,
like,
it was
shows.
it was one of Reagan's big pushes through the 80s.
This movie was funded by the Reagan administration.
I want to introduce trickle-down economics, and I definitely want to seize topless locker rooms in high school girls.
Well, Mommy, the war on drugs will be curtailed by the return to Horror High.
Right. Phil Collins didn't like it. That's why he lampooned him in that music video of his. So, but anyway, we don't, like, even in this scene, like, she agrees, or like, he picks up this girl, throws her over his shoulder, and threatens to take her out of the locker room until she agrees to go on a date with him.
I will say, the girl over the shoulder didn't seem too put off about any of this. She's like, put me down.
I did read that role was her first and only acting role. Like, after this movie, she was like, I'm done.
How can you top that role?
Exactly.
I mean,
well, clearly
there's nowhere to go.
Well, technically, you could top it because she was nude. So
yeah.
But yeah, she's like, I've reached my pinnacle. Like, bucket list complete. So, but yeah, even in this scene, like, then they cut to them on a date. He's like taking her up to like make out point or whatever, and he's like being super aggressive, like like he's gonna rape her. And then like the prop guy cuts it, like everything, like it's like a 8 to 10 minute scene that looks like it's playing out like it should, and then suddenly the crew steps in, and we're like, oh, this is a scene from the movie within a movie. Like, it's there's 2 or 3 of those that are just really confusing. And so, yeah, Callie's noticing people are leaving. She's afraid that maybe the killer's returned. Not leaving, but like they're just disappearing. Mm-hmm. So this is where she and Steve decide they're going to start their own little investigation.
We got to investigate.
Right. So she's like, we get a scene where the biology teacher, which again, another one of those scenes where we get this really long drawn out scene like of like a high school classroom where the biology teacher is just being an absolute jerk. Like,
oh yeah, it's like worst example of teacher
yes,
ever.
It was terrible. There's one kid who's basically
him.
Yeah, just shaming him. She's the new girl in class. Again, another one of Callie's roles. Yeah. So it's tough to follow if this is legit or not. But and then like we see a scene where the like, because they're making a movie about the killings, I feel like I keep needing to remind myself that. Yeah. We get an actually pretty much the only like like violent scene in the movie is the biology teacher, because he's big on we're going to dissect frogs. And so he gets caught up because she's the new student and he's just a pedophile perv. And his thing is, you know, he invites like the hot students for more study sessions. She's even like, I'm an A+ student. He's like,
you need after school tutoring.
Yeah, you're going to need help. To which we know that's compounded when a different girl comes in for her study session and he just casts her off. And she's like, but I was good enough. And he's like, well, have you looked in the mirror? Like, like he's just terrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
We get a scene where he thinks this student is coming to see him. Well, it ends up being the killer who like basically treats him like a frog, nails his appendages to the table and cuts him open. But then
I think I was reading someplace that they actually did film some things about him being.
I did too. Yeah. I read that like
vivisected.
Yeah, they were looking at an X rating unless they cut a lot of that scene. But it's like that's the only. Not that I necessarily need it, but like that scene felt so out of place because we've had so many murders up to this point with zero violence.
Yeah,
and then this one where it's like pretty graphic, like, you know, it wasn't like make yourself sick kind of level, but
compared to what the rest of it,
to what the rest have been. So I was going to ask where are we, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No, later, you know, Steve sees a picture of Kathy on set. So he starts asking the principal where she's at. She's still at grad school. Steve and Callie are still investigating. They find some blood. They discover Harry and Josh discover their corpses.
No, not Harry and Josh.
No, this is like just their heads. This is after a very weird like sexual montage. Like this.
That was
so weird. Like, you've got 3 guys outside of this abandoned high school that are suddenly welding something. For like 20 minutes.
You don't get the deep meaning here, Oz.
Well, I love that. Like, they just keep cutting to the same clip of these guys welding. Like, they don't do anything. But these guys are welding for like a half hour straight, long enough for Steve and Callie to turn all the lights out and basically make love to the light emitted from the sparks of the welder.
Yeah.
With some like really bad Pat Benatar knockoff.
Exactly.
Like,
it's a really weird scene.
But on top of it, like again, like there's no nudity.
No.
It's very sexualized for being very unsexual. Like it's just, hey, you want to rub our bodies together like over the clothes for a while? Like, just before it starts to get where like a normal 80s movie would go, then it like fades out to where she's like they've been sleeping. Like like post-coital sleeping.
Yeah, what a bizarre weird scene.
Like everything is, it's like they want to punch but they don't know how hard to hit, so they just tap. Like it's very much like C-3PO knocking on Jabba's door. Like,
tink tink tink. Oh, guess nobody's home.
Because it's like they could have gone whole hog with this, but didn't. But it's like it still had an R rating.
Yeah.
But they just were like, it's a light heavyweight.
I'm never gonna think of welding the same way.
No. This movie's made me potentially very aroused around welders, so watch out. Is
that a welding mask, or are you happy to see me?
And so they find Harry and Josh's corpses. Actually, they just find their heads.
Their heads are
sitting on top of a very high shelf, because we have to make sure there's enough room for the actors to be underneath said shelf. We can't work with different camera angles. We actually just
no. It's just there's this. It looked like they were sitting on top of like a big laundry cart that just had like a lid to it.
Yeah. So they earlier you had mentioned there was this scene where like a guy gets sucked into this like pit of cat litter or glitter, or I don't know what it was.
It's a classroom sandbox.
It's true. Yeah, yeah, it's that. It's for the pre-K.
It should have been one of those like green like play school turtle sandboxes.
Exactly. That would have been fitting. So they find this trap door underneath, and they go downstairs, and in here they find a classroom in the basement. This classroom full of like decomposing corpses from the 1982 murders.
Oh my goodness, not the 82 murders.
Which this movie doesn't take place much later than 82, which made me surprised that they had decomposed to such a state. I don't know how fast a body decomposes in open air, but they were skeletons. They were just straight skeletal. And one would think that like their bodies had to have been dug up, because if they were like murdered in the original Crippen High School murders, one would think that their bodies would have been like laid to rest, but instead like the killer just kept them all in the basement of the high school.
Nope. They've all just been there.
Right. So
I mean, they're dead anyways. I mean,
but then it's like, if they've been missing, then how can we go as far to say that they're all been murdered if nobody knew where the bodies were? Especially when Kathy's still at grad school. So yeah, they're all sitting in desk, and we're confronted by Amos, the school janitor. Amos was also around during the first row of murders, and Amos attacks them, and he gets his mask pulled off Scooby-Doo style to find out that it's Principal Castleman.
What a twist!
Yeah.
It's Old Man Withers from the amusement park.
Exactly. Castleman explains that back in 82, his daughter Kathy was pregnant with Steve's child.
Oh, no!
Yeah, in which then he murdered her in a Actually, he said that he ordered her to give herself an abortion, which is pretty gross, even by 87 standards. And so he murdered her and hid her in the basement, and then went ahead and killed multiple other students. They get in a fight. Callie and Steve manage to like overpower him. Steve whips a javelin at him, because there's a javelin.
There's a javelin down there.
Yeah, that's where they keep their javelins. So now that Castleman is murdered, we literally like fast forward to present time, I guess.
Yeah.
Arthur, again, this is all being told by Arthur, who I I love it when movies have somebody telling the story of what happened, but that person's not around when any of it happens.
Yeah.
like Arthur, apparently Arthur told the police the story of Steve and Callie making love to the welders.
Yeah.
Because we saw it, so apparently Arthur knew about it.
He was up there in the drop ceiling.
He was one of the welders. So we cut back to Arthur finally getting to the end of the story where they're all in the basement. We don't really, I mean, obviously the murders just happened because they're still laying on the lawn. And so the cops all go into the basement because, again, Arthur's told them what's going on. And this is where the movie, I can't say it jumped the shark, because this twist is just dumb.
The entire movie is the shark.
Yeah. So the cops clear out and they all head to the basement, leaving
the unattended bodies.
Exactly. Leaving all of these dead bodies unattended. So Arthur yells, "All clear," and all of the victims then get up.
Yep. They've
all been laying in the grass. It's all been Greg Nicotiro's working.
Staged.
Yeah. Chuck Nicotero, like Greg's brother, is the effects guy on this movie.
Charles Nicotero.
Right. Right. And so they've all been just acting dead the whole time. Callie,
nobody knew the Eddie Weiser. None of those cops checked for vitals or anything.
But in reality, though, Callie and Steve had uncovered the fact that Castleman was the killer. And in the flashback that Arthur was telling us, that actually happened. Like Callie and Steve really did javelin the principal in the basement. I don't know how Arthur knew this because he was outside, but regardless. So yeah, they killed him in the basement, and Harry has this idea that they're going to do this publicity stunt for this another round of murders.
Yep.
To promote the film. The police head downstairs and they find what was actually there. They find all the corpses. We know the one is Kathy because she still has glasses on. Like, that's the only way. Because even Steve looks at her corpse and goes, "Kathy," and it's
she's got a master's degree in her hand.
Right.
She was away at grad school.
Really wasn't. So Castleman pulls the javelin out of his chest
because he's still alive
and lunges at the police to where they shoot him several times, and he still keeps coming. There's, by the way, no emotion on the police. Like,
no.
They all turn, they all pull their gun. Nobody says freeze. Nobody says stop. They just open fire.
Yeah.
Again, very apparently very prominent of what the future holds. So yeah, the cops come back outside. They see the entire body farm gone, and then so they assume there's still a killer on the loose, that the killer was waiting for them to leave so he could steal all the bodies back.
Yep.
Then we cut to
it's like Predator out there.
Yeah, exactly. So now we cut to the actual end of the movie, where Arthur, who is the screenwriter of the movie, who Josh Forbes is not taken seriously at all. Arthur's sitting at a typewriter, and he's written a new screenplay called Return to Horror High, which of course is the name of the screenplay that we just watched. So, Inception.
How meta.
Yeah, so he's going to make this a sequel. This is where we reveal that he's actually Principal Castleman's son. And then as he's typing, there's blood that starts dripping on the pages, and he looks up and goes, "Dad?"
Dad?
And then we cut finally for the real time, and that's Return to Horror High, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what that was. That is something that's called Return to Horror High.
Yeah. It's if my plot details seemed nonlinear, it's because it was extremely nonlinear.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, at this point in the show, folks, Oz and I each give our own unique rating to the film we've been yapping about. In this case, 1987's Return to Horror High. Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm gonna give it 2 frog dissections.
Okay.
This movie was bad. I mean, I knew it was bad coming in. I mean, you look at the IMDb rating, you look at the letter.
It's like 4 points something.
Yeah, you know it's going to be bad. Like, if you hit, for a horror film, if you're under 5 on IMDb, you might as well plan on it being bad.
Yeah. I
don't recall any surprises I've ever seen where the IMDb rating was below a 5. This is bad. But yeah, this 2 frog dissections, just because I know I can find a frog dissection photo quickly.
You don't want to take any more time on this turd than you need
linger. Let's squeeze this one out and keep it in.
Okay.
What do you?
I'll throw you a bone here as well. Let's go with 1.5 javelins.
Fair enough. There we go. That works.
Oh, next up, folks, our next segment, Outside Insights. Folks, Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching, yearning for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well. Oz, what is your Outside Insight?
I have 2 quick ones.
They're
both Letterboxd, and they're both 4 out of 5 star reviews.
Wow.
Yeah. The first one is from Keith, and he says, "Holy S. What was that mess that I just watched, and why did I love it? It has as much confusing, labyrinthine, what the F moments as some Christopher Nolan films."
Wow.
Yeah. So Keith is like, when he watched this, he thought, this is Nolan-esque.
Yeah.
My second Letterboxd 4-star out of 5 review is from Don, and he just says...
Don S.
Yeah. It is a bald Don, but it's not Don S. But he does say, this review says, "That was effing confusing, David Lynch."
That Lynchian Nolan-esque movie, Return to Horror High.
Don wrote a review acting is David Lynch, who also found this movie confusing. Which, let's not kid ourselves, this movie was
bizarro.
Yeah. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Oh, my outside insight comes from the Internet Movie Database. This is a 6 out of 10 review.
Okay.
Left just about a year and a half ago, as of the time of this recording. This was left in April of 2022 by Brittany Fox with 2 X's.
Ooh.
Marsha Brady, Mo Green, Tommy from Alice, that chick from Throb, the guy who beat up Superman, the brother of the guy who played the brother of the main chick in Just One of the Guys, and George Clooney. Too bad it's so confusing. You never know what's a dream or part of the movie they're shooting or just real. Did anyone even die in this movie?
Right. And where'd Oliver go? Like, George Clooney, we saw him die,
mm-hmm.
and then I assume he was one of the fake outs.
I mean, we saw Amos with that big mop bucket.
That's true. He was just mopping up blood because he was told to.
Yep. Oh yes, yeah. This movie's something else.
Yeah.
All right, folks. It's that time you've been waiting for. Our signature segment, the 3, 2, 1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film in question. In this case, 1987's Return to Horror High. Oz, what are your 3 goods for this Oscar-worthy film?
My first one is, I really got to love that squeaky wheel sound effect.
Yeah. The cue that the killer's near, the squeaky wheel.
I really got to enjoy that squeaky wheel. Because it was the same squeaky wheel sound effect. Sometimes it was on a mop bucket. Sometimes it was on like a production cart. It doesn't matter. I love it.
That squeaky wheel sound should be like the Wilhelm scream of squeaky wheels.
of like schlocky 80s horror.
Yes.
My second and third goods are both unintentional. At least I believe they're unintentional, because I'm not giving the filmmakers enough credit to purposely be funny in this movie.
Okay.
My second one, it happens near the very end of the movie, when Steve picks up the javelin and throws it at Principal Castleman, and as it hits Castleman, before he even reacts, they do a very quick cutaway to Kathy's corpse, whose mouth is wide open, like she's shocked that just happened. Yeah. And I literally laughed out loud, and I backed it up 10 seconds to watch it again, because like that's completely on the editor to put that in there, because there was no reason to do a cutaway to a corpse. But again, her mouth agape. As a skeleton, it struck me as funny that like Kathy was in shock that Steve just javelined her dad.
It's like the beginning of Thor Ragnarok when Thor's in the cage in Muspelheim.
I laugh every time that happens too.
Yeah.
When that skeleton's mouth just drops.
Yeah.
and my third good, and again I back this up so I could count. At about the 40-minute mark, there's a conversation. They're filming a scene in the bathroom, and one of the production assistants comes up to Forbes in the bathroom, and he's talking to him about something. And then a stall door opens because they were filming a scene in that stall. And I counted, as the conversation is the main focal point of this scene, 10 people walked out of the bathroom, including the last one, who was this really large guy, and he was eating something.
Yeah.
But I got the feeling, and it wasn't, because none of them were the same, but it's almost like where they put the edge of the frame, or they put where they cut off the end of the wall just off screen so they could just keep looping.
They're just walking in a circle. Yeah.
That's the vibe I got, because 10 people walked out of that of filming of that inside of a bathroom stall.
Yeah.
And it struck me as funny. And again, I'm not giving the crew on I don't think it was intentionally funny, but I was like, that's funny, because you're listening to the conversation, and meanwhile I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I backed it up just so I can get an accurate number for my 3, 2, 1. So those are my 3 goods. I was searching.
Yeah.
What do you got?
My 3 I just slip of the tongue there. My 3 goods. The first is the exploding fake boob.
I took that off. I had that on and I took it off because I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah. Again, as you mentioned before, just kind of doing the quick recap, you know, the effects guy is really into it. Again, that little sequence in the movie where they're kind of establishing the characters and establishing this, like the scene and the sets and the setting, is fun. It's about 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
The exploding boob is I think genuinely funny.
Yeah, I did too.
My second good, I did like Alex Rocco as Harry.
He was by far the most competent actor on this film.
I thought that he did the job he was supposed to do.
Yeah,
be the sleazy producer.
He was pretty gross.
And his performance, I don't know if this is intentional or not, what The Simpsons did. There's a bit character that pops up every couple seasons on The Simpsons. The character's name is Russ Meyer. He's the producer of the Itchy and Scratchy cartoons.
Okay.
And again, The Simpsons debuted a couple of years after this movie, and this character of Russ Meyer on The Simpsons is like spitting sound and like mannerisms of the Alex Rocco performance in this movie. Again, I doubt it's intentional, but it's eerily similar.
Well, don't be shocked. There actually was a real Russ Meyer, film director. He he directed, or he had his hands in with like Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. So I wouldn't be surprised if the real Russ Meyer was also a very kind of sleazy. Sure. But I know what you're talking about though. Like, but not sleazy. Yeah, like I got that out of Harry Slierek, but I really never got like Weinstein vibes out of him.
No.
I felt like everything he wanted, he was very open with. Like, this is the kind of picture I'm going to make. You know, you almost get the same vibe out of like John Waters. Like, you know, if Harry Slierek was a real producer, you knew what kind of movies he'd be making.
Yeah, exactly. My last good, I don't think this was intentional. Again, Maureen McCormick's performance as Officer Tyler. Like just the most inappropriate, like unprofessional cop. You know, she walks up and like, you know, her shirt's is buttoned down to her cleavage. And at one point she's like rubbing herself, like she has blood on her hands, and
she's like very she was almost like she was like wearing like a cop's Halloween outfit.
Yes, like a hot cop.
Yeah, a little sultry. Yeah. And then like I'm really into Halloween, like all this blood, and I mean, it was fun watching her have fun. Yeah. Like outside of the Brady's, what has Marie McCormick done? Like nothing. And so to see her pop up in here and be like, she's having fun, good for her.
And at one point they're like, you know, the chief is looking over a body and she walks up with like a big chili dog in her hand.
Yeah.
It's like dripping all over the chief.
Craft services were there.
Yeah. Just went over to the real craft service table, just brought a chili dog back.
Yeah, it was like I said, there are parts of this movie that are charming. Like, you know,
it's just little fleeting moments.
Yeah, though. But it's not enough to grab because it's not a good film. But it's not. I can't even. I'm trying to think like what's a way I could recommend it. But I'm like, no. Even if you're like folding laundry and not really paying attention.
No, not even then.
Not even then.
No. All right, those are my three goods, Oz. What are your two bads?
My first one is, for a horror comedy, this was neither funny nor scary. Like, it needed to commit one way or the other, and it just didn't. And so you could tell it was supposed to be lighthearted and goofy, but it just, outside of those, just kind of like you said, just kind of those random glimpses that were more performance based than I were. Like, I don't think the screenwriter or the director made this movie funny. I think the editor cut a couple of times that made something funny. Or, like you said, Maureen McCormick was allowed to ham it up, and that made it a little funny. But it's not a funny movie. Yeah. And it's definitely not a scary movie, because that takes me to my second bad, which is there's a ton of blood in this movie, but there's, like, no violence or gore at all. For a horror film, and especially in the 80s, is like odd to be, like, here's a horror film, and you see people die, but it's because you see them pressed up against a window.
Yeah.
But the window of a like non-see-through door, like
like a 3-inch by 6-inch window.
Yeah,
That's like hairline level.
Yeah, you see George Clooney's face where he has a mouthful of fake blood that he spits onto the window, and then just basically hangs out against the window, grunting, and then he's dead. We don't see like any death at all. So that's my second one. Is that I mean they had a very large fake blood budget. Like there's blood everywhere in this movie.
Yeah.
But you don't ever see where it comes from or what caused it because the movie just doesn't show that. So those are my two bads. What do you got?
My first bad, I'll just state the obvious. This movie is just all over the place. It's so hard to follow.
Yeah, there's times where we knock a movie because it doesn't have a plot. This movie has too many plots.
Yeah, there's so much. Like again, is it horror? Is it comedy? Is it trying to be a satire? Like is it a police procedural? It's just everywhere, and it ends up being nothing.
Yeah.
So that's my first bad. My second bad is the Castleman character pretending to be Amos at the end and was in literal blackface. The one black character in the movie wasn't a black character, and it was a white guy in a black guy mask, and it was bad and awful.
I almost put in my goods, but he also easily could have been in my bads for the same thing. Was crazy Castleman at the end?
Yeah.
Like he had a couple of ticks where he kind of like kept putting his fingers together, and then he'd lick his lips, and that was about it. That was his tick. That's how you knew he was crazy.
Yeah.
He would just kind of, I don't know, but it's like part of it was like, oh, look at him go. The guy doesn't know how to act crazy.
No.
But then the other one was like, oh, poor guy doesn't know how to act crazy. So I just left it out. Just as plot, I didn't know where to put it. So
yeah, I will say before the black-faced unmasking, there was another fun, again, very fleeting fun moment where you still think it's Amos wrestling around with Steven, and Steven punches him in the groin.
Yeah.
And the Amos character goes, "Oh, my jewels."
Yeah. Well, and that's a throwback to an earlier conversation where Amos is talking to Steven about what they're going to do with their newfound fame.
That's right.
And Steven's just like, whatever, what are you going to do, Amos? And Amos is like, basically, I'm going to go make dirty movies. He's a high school janitor who's still apparently like a high school janitor at a high school that's closed. I'm going to go make those dirty movies. Mm-hmm. He doesn't call them a dirty movie, but
and then it reveals that he's the white principal.
It was pretty bad.
It was bad. All right. Hey, Oz, what's your one for Return to Horror High?
That actually is my Just
You've got a meta
Yeah. Mine was, what is going on in this movie? So I'm just going to leave it as
Sure.
What do you got?
Oh God. Okay. I gotta go with. There's a scene where they I think Steven and Callie are following a trail of blood through the hallway.
Yeah.
And it leads into the bathroom.
Yeah.
And they open the stall, and there's no body there. So Steven, police officer trained Steven,
Officer Blake,
deduces that the killer hacked up the body and flushed it all down the toilet.
Yep. Good cop.
Yep. That's some sound detective work.
Does Officer Blake work with, like, the captain and Officer Tyler? Like, is he on the same police force?
One would assume.
Right. I don't know.
Does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
He's wearing the same hot cop police outfit that Marsha Brady is.
He is, yeah. It's probably literally the same outfit.
You're not wrong, yeah. They just went to Spirit Halloween.
This movie did make its money back.
Of course it did.
Budget was $1 million. It made 1.2 for New World Pictures, which that's Roger Corman's production company.
Okay. Man,
which explains
even for a Roger Corman movie.
Yeah, that explains the $1 million the $1 million budget.
Yeah.
So
what do they spend it on?
Fake blood.
Alex Rocco and Marsha Brady.
Probably, yeah. Prosthetic arms.
Exploding boobs.
Right. And so there are a lot of people that love this movie. We are not one. We are not.
No. We're not those people.
Yeah. The poster art for this movie is okay.
It is a fun poster. That was one of my possible goods.
But yeah, this movie was 95 minutes. So I guess there's another possible good.
Yeah, I'd say even that's too long, man.
Yeah, the movie was long.
This movie was just train wreck, just an absolute train wreck.
But like earlier today, I recorded an episode for my other show, and that movie was also bad. More digestible than this one. Like this movie was just a mess. The other one was bad, but it was just bad. Like it was like there was a plot. It just was dumb. Like it's just a dumb movie. And so. I just like I said in my other show that when I'm watching a movie that I detect pretty quick is just going to be a bad movie, like especially for our shows where I'm going to dedicate the time to watch it. Like I then basically just turn my brain off and try to find something fun about it. Like and so that's kind of what I hear. Like I got a kick out of the lovemaking with welding lights. Like it just because it was just like that was a choice. Like I'm glad people got paid to make this movie, and this was the residue of that assignment. Like everything on screen is the final cut. Like somebody said, "Can it? We're done." Like perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for in a film. And there's people that are like 5 stars, best movie I've ever seen.
Yeah. To each their own, I guess. That's the film industry, Oz, and that's how people respond to that. And every movie is somebody's favorite,
right? And I've thought that about like music before. I'll hear a song that's terrible, and I'm like, you know what? This song is probably someone's favorite song, you know. And then I'm like, you know, good for them, you know.
Bow with the Ba is probably somebody's favorite song.
Exactly. Somebody does it all for the nookie, and they're like, oh my god, that's my jam.
I want that song to be playing at my funeral.
Exactly, you know, and okay, so be it. And so let's go to the other end of the film.
Yes, as we tie the ribbon on Return to Horror High, we continue with Return Month, in which all of our films have the word return in the title. And as Oz inferred, we are going from the low-budget schlocky Return to Horror High to The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. And yes, folks, we watched the extended edition.
Yeah.
We went from the 95 minutes Return to Horror High to the almost 4.5 hour Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Oh, and it is my week to lead the plot. So, yes, as opposed to us finding ways to talk about Return to Horror High, I'll be finding ways to not talk about Return of the King.
So snuggle in, kids, because Curtis has a story to tell.
Yes, this will definitely be our long form episode in which it's just us for 3 hours.
I still challenge you to see if you can like quarter it, like take that for it. Like I'm adventurous. I'm gonna admit I'm gonna step back next week and just because our conversation often leads to sidebars, etc., etc. And I'm like, we've got a lot to cover next week, so. I'll just probably sit back and just kind of let you go. And
it's going to be a lot of, okay, then there's this scene and this happened. And these characters were there. And then this scene and this happened and these characters are there. And not going to go into a lot of intricate plot points and character development.
It'll be episode 95, by the way.
Wow, on the road to 95,000.
Yeah, we are closing in on triple digits.
We are, folks. We will be there.
Middle of next month, I believe. Sometime,
and we have a doozy for episode 100.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one. So, well, this episode will drop on our first day of school. Hence the pick. Honestly, the only reason this movie was picked. is because both of us go back to our respective high schools.
Yep.
The same day this episode drops. So if you're listening to this right now, know that Curtis and I have returned to
Horror High.
Yeah, we've returned to Horror High. No. I like my job. I know you like your job.
Yes.
So what we do is nowhere near as horrific as what happened on that fateful day at Crippen High.
At Crippen High School.
So
I'm gonna go into some kid's locker and I'm gonna keep opening lockers until I find one with a heart and somebody's name written in it. Then I'm gonna scribble out the name.
Yeah, because that wasn't there yesterday. Like, okay, all right, Stephen. Then why do you keep going back to your high school locker day after?
He's got some baggage that he's holding on to.
Kathy?
Maybe she's in there today.
I feel bad because when they finally revealed what Kathy looked like, she not much of a looker, and so I felt bad because I was like, oh, like you could have, because you never showed the actress, like you could have picked a picture of anybody. You could have found the most gorgeous woman and gotten a picture of her, and you went with this man, and he was like, I mean, yeah, it just was not a fit. It's like you got her pregnant though, so everybody's got their taste.
Just like for those folks who like Return to Horror High.
Exactly. So there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, we will see you next week. We, of course, blah, 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 social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, like, subscribe, whatever. Tell your friends, tell your boyfriends, tell your ghosts. I don't care. Just make sure that you're tuning in each week. Next week will be better. We promise, with Return of the King. And then, there's going to be somebody that's like, oh, God, I hate Return of the King. But
that's my least favorite movie.
I really liked Return to Horror High. So, yeah, but for Let's Talk About Flicks, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.